relax and watch and think. Welcome if you are new, welcome back if you are looking again. Today we're diving into a topic that affects so many of us, often without us even realizing it. Have you ever felt completely exhausted, like your battery is totally drained, even after what should have been a full and restful night's sleep? You wake up feeling foggy, unrefreshed, and already dreading the day ahead. It's a frustrating feeling, knowing you have energy, but it's just not there. This isn't just about physical tiredness. It's a deeper sense of depletion that can impact your entire well-being and daily functioning, making even simple tasks feel monumental. Or perhaps you can relate to this. You have important tasks piling up, deadlines looming, and you know you need to get started. But instead, you find yourself endlessly scrolling through social media, watching just one more video, or getting lost in a digital rabbit hole. Hours can disappear in a flash, and then that wave of stress, anxiety, and even shame washes over you. You wonder where the time went and why you can't seem to muster the focus or motivation to do what truly matters. This cycle of procrastination followed by regret is incredibly common, and it's not a sign of laziness or a lack of willpower. There's often something more complex happening beneath the surface. You're definitely not alone in these experiences. These feelings and behaviors can be strong indicators of a sneaky culprit that I want to talk about today. Dopamine addiction. It sounds dramatic, but it's essentially a modern epidemic, subtly draining people's energy, focus, and overall zest for life without them even pinpointing the cause. Our brains are wired to seek pleasure and reward, and dopamine is the neurotransmitter at the heart of this system. But in our hyperstimulated world, this system can get hijacked, leading to a constant chase for the next hit, leaving us feeling perpetually depleted. Today, we'll explore some common signs to help you understand if this might be affecting you. So let's start with the very beginning of your day. Question number 1. Do you check your phone within the first 5 minutes of waking up? For many, this has become an almost unconscious reflex, like reaching for a glass of water, but with far different implications for your brain. That urge to immediately grab your phone isn't just about staying connected. It's often a subconscious craving for a quick dopamine hit. Your brain anticipates the novelty of new notifications, messages, emails, or social media updates. This small burst of dopamine can feel like it's waking you up or giving you a little jolt to start the day, but it's actually setting a particular tone for your brain's reward system from the moment your eyes open, priming you for more of the same. This habit can be a significant sign of dopamine dependency because it indicates that your brain is already seeking external stimulation to feel normal or engaged, rather than finding that drive internally. Instead of allowing yourself a gentle transition into wakefulness, perhaps with some quiet reflection, stretching, or hydration, you're immediately plugging into a stream of information and potential stressors. This can hijack your morning focus before you've even had a chance to set your own intentions for the day. It reinforces a cycle where your brain learns to expect and rely on these frequent, small, and often trivial digital rewards, making it harder to concentrate on more meaningful, long-term goals that don't offer such immediate gratification. All right, let's move on to how you spend your leisure time. Question number 2. Do you often find yourself binge-watching shows or videos for hours at a time, perhaps losing an entire afternoon or evening without meaning to? We've all been there, where one episode seamlessly flows into the next, and the platform is practically begging you to continue. This phenomenon is deeply tied to our dopamine pathways. Streaming services and video platforms are expertly designed to keep you hooked. Cliffhangers, autoplay features, and an endless supply of new content provide a continuous stream of novelty and anticipated resolution, which in turn triggers a steady release of dopamine in your brain, making you feel engaged and rewarded. The impact of this prolonged screen time, especially when it becomes a regular habit, is significant. Your brain gets accustomed to this high level of stimulation and easy dopamine. Over time, this can lead to a downregulation of your natural dopamine receptors. This means that everyday activities, which don't provide such intense and immediate rewards, can start to feel dull, boring, or unappealing. You might find it harder to enjoy hobbies, social interactions, or even tasks that used to give you a sense of accomplishment. Furthermore, the sedentary nature of binge watching can contribute to physical health issues, and the constant visual and mental stimulation can make it difficult for your brain to rest and recharge effectively, even when you're not actively watching. Let's talk about eating habits, but not necessarily in the context of hunger. Question number 3. Do you often find yourself snacking when you're bored, rather than when you're genuinely physically hungry? You might be sitting at your desk, watching TV, or just feeling a bit aimless, and suddenly you have an urge to eat something, even if you've had a meal recently. This type of snacking is less about nourishing your body and more about stimulating your brain. Boredom can be an uncomfortable state for a mind that has become accustomed to constant entertainment or engagement, and reaching for a snack, particularly highly palatable foods, offers an easy and immediate dopamine release. These boredom snacks are often high in sugar, salt, or fat. Think chips, cookies, candy, or even just an extra helping of something tasty. These types of foods are particularly effective at triggering the brain's reward system, providing a quick mood boost or a distraction from the feeling of monotony. This behavior highlights how mindless snacking can become a dopamine trigger, a go-to coping mechanism for dealing with understimulation. Over time, this can lead to unhealthy eating patterns, potential weight gain, and a further dysregulation of your reward pathways. Your brain starts to associate boredom with the fix of snacking, making it harder to find pleasure or contentment in quieter, less stimulating activities that don't involve food. Now, let's consider how you approach your responsibilities and tasks. Question number 4. Do you frequently find yourself putting off important tasks, chores, or work projects until the very last minute? This is the classic definition of procrastination, and while it's often dismissed as laziness or poor time management, it can also be a significant symptom of an underlying dopamine imbalance. When faced with a task that seems difficult, tedious, or unlikely to provide an immediate reward, your brain, if conditioned to seek quick dopamine hits, will naturally gravitate towards activities that offer instant gratification. This could be checking social media, playing a game, or watching a quick video. The core issue here is that important tasks often require sustained effort and offer delayed gratification. Your brain, especially if it's used to the rapid-fire rewards of the digital world, might perceive these tasks as low dopamine activities. Therefore, it seeks to avoid the discomfort or perceived lack of stimulation by switching to something more immediately pleasurable, even if that pleasure is fleeting and ultimately unproductive. This isn't a conscious decision to fail. It's more like your brain's reward system is pulling you towards the path of least resistance and most immediate neurochemical reward, making it incredibly challenging to initiate and persist with those crucial long-term goals. Following on from procrastination, here's a crucial follow-up. Question number 5. Do you often feel a wave of guilt, stress, or shame after procrastinating, but then find yourself repeating the same pattern again soon after? This is a really common and frustrating experience, and it highlights the insidious nature of the dopamine-driven procrastination cycle. When you finally realize you've spent hours on distractions instead of your important tasks, the negative emotions that arise, guilt for not being productive, stress about the looming deadline, shame for not meeting your own expectations, are genuinely unpleasant. You'd think these feelings would be a strong motivator to change, right? However, for a brain that's become dependent on quick dopamine fixes, these negative emotions can paradoxically trigger the very behavior you're trying to avoid. To escape the discomfort of guilt and stress, your brain might seek another hit of dopamine, another moment of distraction or pleasure, to temporarily feel better. So you might dive back into social media, start another episode, or find some other engaging but unimportant activity. This provides momentary relief, but doesn't solve the underlying problem, and, in fact, reinforces the cycle. The important task remains, now perhaps even more daunting, and the pattern of avoidance, temporary relief, and subsequent guilt continues, creating a difficult loop to break. Let's consider your nighttime habits now. Question number 6. Do you often stay up late using your phone, tablet, or laptop, even when you know you're tired and should be going to sleep? You might tell yourself just one more video, or I'll just check this one last thing, but then minutes turn into hours. This common scenario is a powerful indicator of how stimulating content can override your body's natural sleep cues, driven by the pursuit of dopamine. The endless stream of engaging content, from social media feeds to captivating articles or games, provides a constant drip feed of dopamine, making it very difficult to disconnect and allow your mind to wind down. Beyond the addictive nature of the content itself, there's a physiological reason why late-night screen time is so detrimental. The blue light emitted from these devices directly interferes with your body's production of melatonin, the hormone that regulates your sleep-wake cycle. When melatonin is suppressed, it's harder to fall asleep and the quality of your sleep can be significantly impaired. This combination of a mentally stimulated brain and disrupted melatonin production leads to shorter sleep duration and poorer sleep quality. The next day, you're likely to feel tired, irritable, and less focused, which, guess what, can make you even more susceptible to seeking out those quick, easy dopamine hits to cope, perpetuating a difficult cycle. This next question touches on physical well-being. Question number 7. Do you often avoid working out or engaging in physical activity, even though you know it generally helps you feel better in the long run? You might have the best intentions, you might even have your gym clothes laid out, but when it comes time to actually start, the motivation just isn't there. This struggle is very real for many people, and it can be exacerbated by a dysregulated dopamine system. When your brain becomes accustomed to the high-intensity, low-effort dopamine rewards from passive activities like scrolling or binge-watching, the perceived effort required for exercise can feel disproportionately large. Exercise, while incredibly beneficial for both physical and mental health, and a great natural dopamine booster, the fact, often requires pushing through initial discomfort or a lack of immediate pleasure. If your dopamine baseline has shifted due to constant overstimulation from other sources, the activation energy needed to start and sustain a workout can feel almost insurmountable. Your brain, wired for efficiency and quick rewards, might steer you towards the familiar comfort of easier dopamine sources, rather than the delayed, but more profound and sustainable benefits of physical activity. This isn't about being lazy. It's about your brain's reward circuitry potentially being out of balance, making those healthy choices feel much harder. And finally, let's talk about your comfort with quiet. Question number 8. Do you feel uncomfortable, restless, or even anxious when you find yourself in moments of silence or boredom without any immediate stimulation? Think about waiting in line, a quiet moment between tasks, or simply trying to sit still without reaching for your phone. For many, these moments have become almost unbearable. If your brain is constantly bombarded with notifications, entertainment, and information, the absence of that input can feel jarring, almost like a withdrawal symptom. This isn't just a preference for noise. It can be a sign that your brain has adapted to a high level of external stimulation. This discomfort arises because your brain's baseline expectation for engagement has been elevated. When that expectation isn't met, it can trigger a craving for a dopamine hit to fill the perceived void. This makes it incredibly difficult to simply be present, to engage in quiet reflection, to allow for creative thoughts to emerge, or even to focus deeply on a single task without feeling the pull of distraction. The constant need for external noise to feel okay can be mentally exhausting and can hinder your ability to connect with yourself and the world around you in a more meaningful, less reactive way. Learning to tolerate and even appreciate boredom is a key step in recalibrating your dopamine system. So, we've gone through 8 common indicators. Take a moment and be honest with yourself. How many of those questions did you answer yes to? If you said yes to 0 to 2, that's fantastic. It sounds like you're generally in the clear and have a pretty good balance with your dopamine-seeking behaviors. Keep up the great work in maintaining that equilibrium. If you answered yes to 3 to 5 questions, this suggests a moderate level of dopamine dependency. You might be noticing some energy drains or difficulty focusing, so it's a good idea to be mindful of these habits and perhaps start making some small adjustments. Now, if you found yourself saying yes to 6 to 8 of these questions, it's highly likely you're caught in a significant dopamine loop. Your energy levels, sleep quality, ability to focus, and even your mood are probably being noticeably impacted. But please don't feel ashamed or overwhelmed by this. Recognizing these patterns is the absolute first and most crucial step towards making a positive change. The good news is that you reset your brain and regain your energy and mental clarity. It's not about completely eliminating dopamine-producing activities. That's impossible and not even desirable, but about finding a healthier balance. Want to start making those changes? Begin with small, manageable steps. Consider implementing dopamine detox days, or even just a few hours, where you consciously disconnect from hyper-stimulating activities. Focus on incorporating more real-world habits that provide natural and sustainable rewards, like exercise, spending time in nature, or engaging in creative hobbies, and become more conscious and intentional about your screen time. For more science-backed tips and strategies on how to do this effectively, I encourage you to check out my blog at https://thelazyathlete.net/. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, comment below with your score if you're comfortable sharing, and definitely subscribe for more tips on mental fitness and reclaiming your well-being. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.